Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Mana Podcast. I am Joe.
I am Caleb.
And today, ladies and gentlemen, today is the day we are going to be reviewing Children of Mana, the DS classic that we just spent 4-5 hours doing the co-op.
Yeah, it was like 4. It was like 4.5 hours, just about.
Yeah.
God damn, that took forever. We had like 2 levels left. It was, no, I guess it was
we had
6, 7, and 8.
And we might as well have had 4.
I know, because the chapters are so long.
Yeah. So this was a 2006 action role-playing game for the Nintendo DS, exclusively for the Nintendo DS. 6th game in the Mana series. I guess it followed 2003's Sword of Mana, according to this thing. But Sword of Mana is the remake.
Yeah, they add those ones in to their numbers. Every time I read one, I'm like, oh shit, what do you mean 6th or 5th? And then I look into it, and I was like, oh yeah, because of those.
Doesn't count.
They count the freaking remake.
It's the 12th remake of the first game in the Mana series.
Yeah.
Which, once again, we have to preface, why are we playing the Mana series on the Ultimate Final Fantasy podcast? Because the Mana games are sequels and or spin-offs to Final Fantasy Adventure, which is a pure Final Fantasy game.
It is. They knew after they made Adventure, though, that it didn't really fit the Final Fantasy mold, but that's too bad. They already named it that because they wanted to make some extra cash.
And we have 2 left.
Yep, we have Dawn of Mana and we have Heroes of Mana. And Dawn of Mana I've had for years. I've never placed inside my PlayStation, and Heroes looks just like the Revenant Wings game. It's another RTS. I'm kind of looking forward to that, honestly. I'm like, it's the nice thing about these Mana games is we're getting a break from Final Fantasy, and that game sounds like it's going to be a break from Mana too. It's just going to be some random thing that we'll play.
I think every Mana game so far has been a break from Mana after Trials of Mana.
Yeah, that's
felt like they knew what a Mana game was, and then they're like, let's fuck with it.
Yeah.
They make Legend of Mana, and now Children of Mana.
Yeah, this one definitely felt more like the older ones than Legend, though. Just based on the combat, how fast everything was.
Yeah, and it was overhead. It wasn't this crazy art style piece.
They brought back using multiple weapons for different tasks and stuff like that, and that was kind of one of the cool things about the original game, the Final Fantasy Adventure, and that's what makes it kind of a Legend of Zelda ripoff. It's just like the different tools for different tasks, kind of a thing in one of those old 8 or 16-bit or whatever the hell it is games, and it's kind of gone back to that now after departing for at least the last game.
Yeah, and it even had a soundtrack cue that we heard near the end where they took it from Adventures, Final Fantasy Adventure.
Yeah.
Which I appreciated as
that
a
was
big
cool.
fan of that soundtrack and going, oh, that's the piece of music.
Yeah.
So anyway, some background information about the game. Children of Mana was, of course, designed by the series creator, Koichi Ishii, probably the most inconsistent game designer at Square Enix.
Yeah, he's got a dartboard with a bunch of ideas that he came up with one night, and then he just gets really drunk, and then he throws the dart, and whatever it lands on, he's like, all right, this time we're going to do, it's a side quest game, we'll call it a spin-off, but we're going to use a bunch of assets, and it's going to be called Mana.
That's right. It was directed by Yoshiki Ito and produced by Takeshi Orikata and Katsuji Aoyama. Sorry about the names, guys. I studied Japanese for a year and a half and
forgotten it all.
Forgotten almost all of it.
Jeez.
Almost all of it. It's pretty bad. Including how to pronounce things like that. The game did okay. It sold 100,000 copies in its first week, which is pretty good. And 280,000 in Japan by the end of 2006. So we don't know the full sales numbers, but that's the Japanese sales numbers within that first year. it's, I guess so there's some information here about it. I guess in 2003, so 3 years before this game came out, Square Enix began to develop a strategy of polymorphic content, a marketing and sales strategy to expose their products to as wide an audience as possible. And this included not only Mana, but also the compilation of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
And I guess in 2005, Square Enix announced a World of Mana project. So that was underneath that polymorphic content idea.
Yeah. When we fire this game up, it actually says World of Mana as like
You're right.
one of the things. Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. I was just like, I guess this takes place in the world of Mana.
Yeah. They're just giving us their project title name in there.
So that's when we kind of got a whole bunch of Mana games in a row, really.
Yeah, that was kind of around the time when they started doing, like you said, the Final Fantasy VII compilation. They started hammering out the Crystal Chronicles.
Crystal Chronicles, exactly. That's what I was thinking.
This is kind of the Dark Ages, honestly. It's where there's a lot of battles, a lot of titles coming out, but all of them are mediocre at best, pretty much, and very awful at worst.
And Ishii really wanted to make he wanted to go back to its roots a little bit and make another cooperative experience, dungeon crawler experience. So that's why instead of having a sequel to Legend of Mana, which did really well sales-wise, they went ahead and kind of went back to the start, but kind of had a little bit of Legend of Mana in there too, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. There's some stuff for sure.
Some sort of in between. The score was composed by Kenji Ito, whose name I recognize, Masaharu Iwata, and Takayuki Aihara. And Ito had already done, that's why. Okay, he had done the soundtrack for Final Fantasy Adventure and the remake Sword of Mana. And
that makes sense given this game's soundtrack, honestly.
Yeah, it's kind of gotten, how would I say it? It's definitely gotten to, there's a simplicity in the soundtrack. I guess we'll touch on it a little bit later, but that's pretty much all the development information that was readily available for this episode. As I could see it. So big, huge sales push from Square Enix. Whole bunch of games made between fucking 2005 and 2012 at Square. That's really what it is. And that's, the bulk, half of our Final Fantasy games as we played through the series were from that era.
Yeah.
Just boom.
That's right the entire Crystal Chronicles series as far as I remember. The first one might have been earlier,
I feel like the first one was made genuinely.
Yeah, and the rest were cash grabs.
And then the rest were cash grabs, although I do prefer all the cash grabs over the original. But it does feel like with how fast they were going out. There's two. We were going to do the next Mana game in the series, which I don't even know the
name.
Dawn of Mana. Thank you.
Yeah.
Blank of Mana. I don't know it until I've played it. That's the fact there. We were going to play that next because it seemed like it was the next game. I don't know. For some reason, the timeline of the PlayStation 2 and the DS in my mind were just in separate places.
Yeah, even though they're not.
And this game actually came out just a few months. This was June, and I think the next game was in December of 2006. So they did something similar with Crystal Chronicles. It might have been 2006. It was 2006 or 2007 where they put out two different Crystal Chronicle games.
Yeah. Was it the My Life As ones? Were those the two that came out the same year?
It was Crystal Bearers and something else.
Oh, man. Yeah, I could see that one. It was
the last game, and then I think it was Echoes of Time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Whatever our last two games were. Those were the games.
I think it is Echoes of Time. That one's actually pretty decent, but
yeah, that one's pretty decent. Crystal Bearers has some problems.
Oh man, that volleyball. I can't get over it. It's just so bad.
It's pretty bad.
And optional apparently.
So we started playing this game I actually started only playing it a week ago. We had a good gap here. Thank you, Brulo, for supplying us with with an episode in the interim. But yeah, I started playing it like a week ago. And how many hours was our total time?
So the time, according to the last save, was 13 hours and 33 minutes. But when you pull up your DS, it has like an activity log thing. And that one is the one I put on howlongtobeat.com. Great site. 13 hours and 50 minutes. So I lost 17 minutes getting my ass chewed in some of the dungeons. But that's really not that bad, honestly. I was thinking it was going to be more like an hour.
And you, I believe, had 16 less minutes on me.
Oh, really?
And that's why I said you needed to host the game. Because one person hosts, and then the other person joins their game. And there's no saving after that, by the way. There's no... So, as soon as we decided we were going to beat Children of Mana tonight, we had to beat Children of Mana tonight. We are doing this episode, it is 2:23 in the morning.
Yeah, I wonder, though. Did you turn your DS all the way off?
No, not yet. I lost the connection with you, and then it spat me back out into the town.
Did you save?
Not yet.
I think you're going to be right back where you were. So you'll be high level again. You'll be.
I'm wondering if it'll add the time on, is my question.
Oh, maybe. The DS tracker will add it, but... yeah, it spit me out when we lost connection, and I just saved, and it was at the point where we left for that last dungeon. So it was like, yeah. And I think it saved all of the time. I mean, I know it did because of the discrepancy, but it's not super long. I was expecting the last few to only take like a couple hours, but
the time on How Long to Beat is around 16 hours, I think, on the average. Yeah. And I knew if we played it together, because someone in the chat, I believe it was Brillo again in the chat, it was like, difficulty doesn't scale in multiplayer. And I was like, oh. So if there were two of me going through these dungeons, how much faster would these dungeons go?
Pretty fast.
So I was like, twice, we need to get to chapter 6 and decide if we want to play the rest of this game together. And yeah, it did go a lot faster than it would have.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. That 17 level dungeon at the end.
The only benefit to playing it single player would be being able to load up. So at like every 5 or so floors in these later dungeons in the game, you're allowed to like go into your menu and mess with your equipment and equip gems, like extra item equipments that have stat boosts, and then you can save. But when you're playing multiplayer, you're not allowed to save at all. So that was the only nice thing about playing it by myself, is when I got like beat the hell up in some of those dungeons, and you get wrecked like fast sometimes. Like they'll just one-shot me. I got one-shot, I think twice. And I just turn it off and then like turn the system back on and load my shit up. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that again. 5 floors, not today. Like, so that part's missing from the multiplayer experience. But honestly, yeah, it was way easier at the end, because the last 2 dungeons I did were hard. Being able
to like split up a big group of enemies, or go and find, because you always have to find a droplet. Like a crystal droplet, and then like a well of magic. I don't know. And they're always hidden in some way, or you have to do something in order to trigger them. And it says in the game what you have to do, so you're never lost in terms of that. But if it's like, go break open some crystals, you can go both split off into levels and like start just breaking shit.
Yeah.
Trying to get to the next level. I imagine with 4 players, this thing would be a breeze.
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty fun too. You would just be like wrecking house, just like everyone splits off and just kills what they can and gets all the shit together.
So we were talking, because most of these games have been multiplayer.
Yeah,
and we actually did it. We actually finally fucking did it on this one.
I know. It's weird because we didn't do it for the last one, just because of the timing of it. Because that was we beat it right before you left, right? And then, or did we beat it when you came here, when you came back?
I came back.
And then we finished? Okay. Yeah, the timing of it worked out better to not play that last one together. And honestly, I can't imagine how much weirder that game would have been co-op. Like, I have no idea.
Or I would have been annoyed by, like, waiting.
Yeah.
On someone else's kind of game time or whatever. That would have been painful, I think. That last game specifically.
Yeah, that's true.
Trials might have been pretty fun.
Trials would have been awesome.
Yeah.
2-player, I think. That would have been really fun. This is kind of the closest we'll get
exactly.
to that, I think.
This is what that recreates.
Yeah.
So let us dive first into the story. So, several years ago in this game, a great disaster apparently took place under the Mana Tree, and a lot of lives were lost. And now this group of orphans, which you get to pick one at the beginning of the game, either Ferric, Tamber, Poppin, or Wanderer. They're wondering what happened to their families. They're not sure. The other people in the village are kind of, how do you say, traumatized in their own kind of ways. I think the most heartbreaking villager story is the millionaire.
Yeah.
And his name is Millionaire, who now runs the shop in town, and he lost his fortune, and yet they still call him Millionaire, which had me joking. First off, the whole time I was like, why is they still called Millionaire? He's not a fucking millionaire.
Yeah.
But like they couldn't call him a name, and then I realized, oh no, it'd be a dig. Yeah.
Be like, hey, millionaire.
Hey, millionaire, how's it going? Like he was always like so high and mighty back before the disaster.
Yeah.
And now everybody's like shitting on him, calling him millionaire when he's like running like the small little boutique shop.
Yeah, with little candy shop.
Yeah, little pharmacy.
Yeah, pharmacy / like Asian gift store full of like
God.
weapons.
Just something so sad.
Yeah, I bet you he's like, I don't know why you guys are such dicks. I still have $900,000.
God. All right.
I'm only not a millionaire because I spent $100,000 on this shop for you ingrates.
So a stone at the Mana Tree, which is nearby, which people, at least this gal Tess is kind of. Oh my God! Hold on, 1 second.
Joe is currently getting the cat away from the computer. Cat's interrupting the stream. Cat's interrupting it all. Very curious about the computer. Cat's going outside. Cat's a little fucker, apparently. Joe's disappeared. Screen door opens. Screen door closes. Cat got back in. Cat's leaving. Cat's good to go. Cat's gated off. Cat could probably jump the gate, but we'll see.
Cat could definitely jump the gate.
Okay.
So anyway, this place that people pray to. Tess, who was praying to it, apparently a stone at the Mana Tree cracks, and you have to go and figure out basically what happened. You figure out that like space and time has now been distorted, and there's no longer floors, or there's no longer stairs in all the floors, and you gotta like figure out how to get up to the next floor through these warps through time and space.
Yeah.
Which is the entirety of the game, basically. You're in a dungeon looking for the goddamn thing, which we talked about earlier, like the raindrop crystal looking thing. And then the well of ascension. And then you go up to the next floor.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
But anyway, so Tess was there. You got to basically go rescue her because you think something's wrong, and there is. When you get up there, there's something later called them, and I have such trouble, Schweiss, reading this word for some reason. This word, because I know what Benevodon looked like and sounded like, and all they did was replace the B with an M, and I always look at it and I go, I want to say Melabodon, and I know that's fucked up. That's not right. It's Malevodon. These fucking Malevodons, and, like, somehow this word like triggers some like latent dyslexia in me. There's a Malevodon up there that you can't fight. And when you realize you can't fight it, suddenly a magic sword appears out of nowhere.
Yeah, it flies in from the sky.
Gift from, I believe, the mana goddess. And then suddenly the sword is able to hit it. However, I think the people who did the cutscenes with the game weren't talking to the people who did the gameplay. Because you pick up different swords all over the place. And it's not like suddenly you like, oh, it's a boss fight town. Now it's time for my holy sword of the sword of mana.
What actually happened, though, is I think it was the tree defying the will of like the mana goddess, I think is what it was. So the tree was what gave you the mana sword, which is because this game is kind of a prequel to
I think you're right.
the others. I'm pretty sure it is, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is weird. You'd think like it would be, and I feel like they did this. No, I guess they didn't do this. Like, to me, it would make sense to have it as just like, this is your weapon, you know, and maybe you upgrade the weapon instead of buying new ones or something. But it's just an item in your inventory. It's just
weird.
Like shit you carry around, like a trinket. It's supposed to be this godly sword. That,
by the way, apparently you have a knapsack on you that can carry like 1,200 different swords in it.
Yeah.
And many like, I found 8 iron swords. I'll just stick that in the backpack.
Yeah, but you can only in the beginning have 8 little pieces of candy, like little peppermint patties. You only have like 8 of
I
them.
can have 8 suits of armor and 8 peppermint patties.
Yeah.
I can't take a suit of armor away to add more peppermint patties.
Yeah, no. And
Can't do that.
You would think that 1,000 peppermint patties could fit where that suit of armor went, but no, that's not how it works.
Yeah. The healing item in this game is the gumdrops, and what's the other one? Choco Bar,
Choco Chomp, or something
Choco
like that.
Chomp,
Yeah.
which I wanted to call Choco Chomp till like tonight. I realized
like, why would it be that?
it wouldn't be Choco Chomp.
Yeah,
It would be Choco Chomp. It's a chocolate bar. I'm looking at the fucking picture of it, and there's no chocobos. This isn't. I mean, this is a sequel, distant kind of relation to a Final Fantasy game, but it's not a Final Fantasy game. It's a fucking Choco Bar.
Yep.
I'm a fucking idiot.
Hey, at least you got that and Malevodon figured out.
Malevodon. All right.
Such a crazy word.
Malevodon. It's not a word choice.
Yeah, such a crazy combination of multiple words.
And basically 3 more pillars appear in the world, and you got to go and kind of investigate and destroy the monsters there and destroy the Malevodons in those dungeons. And after you clear those dungeons, you learn of this man, or you meet this guy named... Sorry, am I wheezing? You hear
a little
that?
bit, yeah.
I think it's allergies. I was running with that cat earlier, and I just way out of shape. That's the truth. No, the Mana Lord, who's got like a half doll face and half like fucked up figure.
Yeah.
Dark figure, and he's the one apparently behind all this. And he tells you this every single cutscene you see him in. He wants to fill the world with mana. He wants to do what he believes the mana goddess's will is.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason why all these pillars are... I don't know how the magic actually works. It doesn't explain any of this, but apparently that's connected somehow. And somehow by doing that, he's filling the world with mana.
Yeah.
Anyway, you have to chase after him a couple times because he does kidnap Tess and also steal your sword. And you come to get your sword back at the end. And when you do defeat him and he gives you your sword back, The Wikipedia page said he killed himself. I thought he just died, but whatever.
Oh, he like fell back into the mana. So the mana is basically like the life source from Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, I didn't see that as like a suicide. I saw that as like a I'm dead and crumble backward.
Yeah.
Death. I don't know. I didn't.
Yeah, I would say it's more like that. Like he's just becoming, because he is kind of the mana, so he's kind of like returning to the source.
Yeah.
So I don't
something
know.
like that. And somehow this triggers the scion of mana to be born. I guess there's an imbalance of mana in the world. And the scion of mana, which is like a big radish-looking baby root thing, comes out, and you got to go up the dungeon to defeat the scion of mana. And when you defeat it, the world is brought back into balance. And Illusia, the town that you were in, it becomes what it becomes in Trials of Mana. So this ends up being a prequel to at least Trials of Mana.
Yeah.
Where Illusia is this like island that's hidden from mankind, and it's got the mana sanctuary. I remember him talking about in the game.
Yeah, he mentioned that this is going to be a site of destruction in the far future, and it is the sanctuary where he's at.
So basically the planet is realigned to make room for Illusia to be in a different spot.
I mean, it's weird because this universe is kind of like it's almost like a lazy telling of like Yggdrasil, the world tree from Norse mythology.
Okay.
It like plays with that idea, but then it also plays with kind of like the life force idea, like the world is all connected, and I guess that's kind of like what Yggdrasil does. And it sort of messes with the other worlds sometimes too, but like it does it so like haphazardly and kind of lazily. The whole series has done it that way, where they're just like, this is kind of a cool idea, but we're just gonna put it in as a theme. It's not gonna actually matter. Yeah, that's pretty much the story. The characters are pretty standard. You just got a bad guy who wants to spread his hot seed all over the bellies of the village women. There's a lot of sexual allegory in the game, I felt, as far as him wanting to spread the mana. He wants to spread the mana, and like they talk about a lot of talk of seed of mana. The fight with the radish was pretty cool. Just like a root beast.
Yeah.
We were stocked up and afraid because we had spent like an hour and a half getting through that last dungeon.
It's so the gameplay in this thing it's forgivable and unforgivable at the same time.
Yeah, there's no game over. It just kicks your ass back to the town, which is kind of worse than a game over a lot of times because you're just like,
oh, it is. And there's one other game in this fucking playthrough that we've gone through, these 50 fucking whatever games we're on.
Yeah.
And it's called Chocobo's Dungeon. Schweiss.
Yeah.
Everybody, or whatever the fuck it's called. Final Fantasy Fables Chocobo's Dungeon, which did a similar thing.
Mm-hmm.
Where it kicked your ass out of the fucking dungeon.
Yeah, it's like you can keep all your shit, but your ass is gone.
Yeah.
I think you kept your stuff in Chocobos, didn't you? Or did you lose it?
No, there was some other bullshit in there. It was really brutal. I don't think you did.
I think you lost everything but what you had equipped. Oh, dude.
I think so, yeah.
That's vicious.
That is worse.
It's vicious.
It's not that.
And we have Chocobo's Dungeon 2 now. I have 2 copies of that ready.
Oh, no, yeah, my stomach's churning.
Yeah. We don't have to do everybody.
It's not that game. Far in the fucking future,
it's
too.
Really not. It's only like 5 games away.
We only have to play 2 extended amounts of Final Fantasy 14 in between. I mean, that's not it.
Isn't there Secret of Evermore too?
There's Secrets of Evermore. Yeah, we can talk about it later. But there's a couple of games in between before we get to the Chocobo stuff. But yeah, the story, reading the dialogue out loud in some of the streams, I really thought the writing was pretty clunky.
Yeah.
And there's these geodes.
that aren't really geodes at all. Because a geode is a piece of dinosaur shit, or I guess just like
no, it's not that.
It's just pure carbon pressed over time.
No, that's not a geode.
Oh, really?
You're thinking of like
no one knows
a diamond or coal or something.
Well, shit, that's closer than what they were calling it.
No. So a geode has, I believe it's calcite, but I don't know. I'm not a geologist. I would, if you would talk to me, if we could bring my 12-year-old rock hounder self in here, he would tell you all about it. I'm sorry, okay. I've forgotten it just as much as I've forgotten my Japanese. But I do know that what I saw on the screen wasn't a fucking geode, because I have geodes out here in the fucking yard right now that I've dug up before, the geode fields. But there are crystals in this game, there are gems, and then there are geodes, which is a word that they're using in the English translation as a synonym of gem.
Yeah.
Or crystal. And there are crystals inside of geodes. Geodes look like a normal rock on the outside, and then bam, you cut them open, and then they're like all crystally and awesome on the inside.
Right, yeah.
But they're not the whole thing. They're not a gem. They are in that kind of, you're looking at it like a round piece. That's not a fucking geode. And it drove me nuts when we were watching the cutscenes here. It's like geodes.
And they look like finely cut, rubies, diamonds, sapphires.
They're just gems. And I feel like the English translation staff, someone didn't know what a geode was.
Yeah.
I think that was clear.
Probably. Yeah.
And they had their Japanese English dictionary open, and they had some word in Japanese that vaguely meant, a couple different things in English. And they're like, okay, let's go with geode on this one.
Yeah, and it's weird because they use gem and they use crystal as well, but they just use them almost interchangeably.
They use geode interchangeably with those other things, and I'm telling you, I don't know why this is a hill I have to die on, but it is. It's very important that we know that the difference.
Well, I mean, the guy would have gotten away with it if it weren't for those meddling geodes. I was going to destroy the world, and I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for those meddling geodes.
Almost a line from the game. Calls them the meddling geodes, and I laughed pretty hard at that. I guess the story was easier to follow than the last game.
Yeah.
So that was nice.
It was certainly more linear, too, because the last game, any game that has multiple endings like that, that are pretty disparate paths, I think is going to be harder to follow, especially because the way Legend was set up, it was just side quest your way to the end, essentially. You don't have to do a bunch of them.
And I tell you what, my brain, I have trouble enough paying attention to the plot in Final Fantasy XIV. The main plot, side quest plots in these games.
Yeah. All I remember is that the cactus stole the broom.
I don't even remember that. I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. So
cactus stole the broom. That's all you need to know.
There we are.
Yeah, and then there we were in the dump site, and I couldn't find the fucking broom. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this. I'm done.
I remember some dragons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were some.
Listen to our last review to find out more.
Yeah.
I'll have to listen to it to find out more.
To remember.
Exactly. So yeah, I thought the story was kind of but most of that's been the case for this entire series, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Even the highest ranking 2, the story is only okay. The coolest parts in the number 1 is the baby crawling away. They let the baby live in the wild.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
The coolest part of number 2, or the second place one that we have, is the guy fucking the tree. It's pretty hardcore.
That's right.
Although this one, it sounds like the tree a chick fucks the tree in this one. Is what it kind of like
I
implies.
don't know, she becomes one with the tree.
Yeah, she's like, I'm gonna stay here with the tree.
Yeah, Tess stays there with the tree at the end of the game.
Yeah, he's got that old knobby nose on him too.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I see why she stays with him.
Yeah, it's good face sitting going on there for old Tess. Yeah, we were joking earlier.
Trunk sitting.
Trunk, yeah. Sit on this trunk.
Sounds.
How do you imagine that guy talks to the like treant guy? It's like, Tess.
I don't know. Looking at his picture, what you were like, this is the ugliest design I've ever seen in my life. I don't remember your exact words, but
it's hideous.
Then the next time I saw the tree face, I laughed because I was thinking about Schweiss complaining about how ugly he is, and he is, and it looks like. I mean, we made some jokes that were like fecal matter type material.
Yeah.
Not far off from this tree's buggered face.
Yeah, it's just not pleasant. I don't know. Like, this whole game, like the whole series, it's just kind of like unpleasant imagery. This one and the last one especially, though. God, like the tree. I don't know. Like they do cool stuff with the environments and whatnot, but the art is, I just don't like it, man. I think it's kind of lame or like really ugly, like that guy.
I thought the art was cool in the last game where it was like fanciful and whatever, but
okay. I don't like the tree. I guess the tree is who I really don't like.
It's mostly the tree. Yeah.
The last game's art was awesome, but just the style they used for the PS1. But the tree in that one, he looks just the same as this guy. This some
no, this one does. This one looks worse.
You think so?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Looking at like the 2D image that someone drew, all cartoony, and he's like pops up on the screen.
Yeah. I bet she like when she like mounts him, she has a little pocket knife that she like marks off the line on it to see how much of that treant nose she can fucking plunge in there. Making good progress, Tess. Oh man, yeah, it's weird.
And I'm gonna vomit.
Yeah, can you imagine the view for her? She just looks down and it's that face, that thing underneath.
Two eyes.
Oh, it's so horrendous. Oh,
those two like shit curl eyebrows he has.
Oh man, yeah, she's got a bleak future ahead of her on that fucking Isle of whatever the hell.
Jesus Christ,
Illusia.
So you can see we take the story really seriously here in the Mana games. The gameplay, though, I mean, that's really what this series has been about, except for the last game, which was about mini story questing for some reason.
Yeah.
2D action RPG. Barely an RPG. I really think it's just an action game at this point.
Yeah.
Very similar to kind of Link to the Past, Legend of Zelda era. And of course, that's how that's how the series kind of started out. It was basically Legend of Zelda plus Final Fantasy. It's definitely swinged more on the Legend of Zelda side, except that there's not really any puzzles. The only thing you have to figure out is, of course, where those two items are in every floor. And what you have to do in order to get them to pop, and then you go on to the next floor. But regular kind of slashing gameplay. You got your summon like what you did in the other games. You have your like super attack or your Super Saiyan mode, or whatever you want to call it, that you build up on each floor, and you can use that to do some extra damage. And then they have like, just enemies kind of roaming around that you slash around to. So that's basically it. The added bonus of this game, of course, was I don't know what we should call the system, Schweiss. You called it bowling pins. You wanted to hear bowling pin sounds earlier. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like a game of billiards or pool, where you smack one thing and then, physics takes over, some sort of physics take over, and everything becomes like they all bounce and hit into one another and scatter and go crazy, depending on what angle you hit something on and what. Thanks for the sub. on Twitch.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. So yeah. And the other thing is that it's a dungeon crawler. I thought the combat was fine.
Yeah. It was fun. It's just kind of like a dumbed down version of the last few. The Fury system isn't as cool as pretty much all of the other mana games, like the limit breaks that you had in the other ones. I like those a lot more. The Fury is kind of cool with like the bow and stuff. Like you start launching like multiple arrows and it goes really fast. But I don't know. I kind of liked the.
I barely used it at all.
I did too. I forgot to use it on the final boss. Like I had it all built up and then we just killed her.
Damn.
Or it, or whatever the hell it was, the radish beast. And yeah, I don't know. It's better than, the system they have in FF9 where it just like, oh, now it's time, and it just fires off without your
the
consent.
trance mode, yeah.
Yeah, but it's really kind of the worst one in the series. Like I really liked the last game's limits a lot, actually, where it was like specific to each weapon, and the more you use the weapon, you would get like 2 or 3 different types. This one, all it is just like you said, a Super Saiyan version of yourself.
Yeah, I really liked. I think Trials of Mana is probably my favorite version of that, where you can set it to like one of 3 different versions that you've built up.
Yeah,
and you can kind of like get the bar to a certain place and do a certain type of hit. I really liked that, and that felt really satisfying too because it was such a big attack.
Yeah.
But then again, that game, although an easy game for the most part, Trials of Mana that felt like a satisfying thing to do when you're going through.
Yeah.
And going through, I guess, quote unquote challenging areas, which of course there was one challenging area in Trials of Mana, mostly with the samurai rape involved, which you can hear about in that episode. But the combat was fine. I had a little fun when I was trying to get things opened up or some crystals opened up. There's traps set in the floor. There's like spikes. There's fucking Devil's Snare from Harry Potter coming up, the weed grabbing you from from the ground. Unfortunately, staying still doesn't do jack shit. I did try that. It feels like nothing works as far as just decides when it wants to let you go. As far as I can tell, the plant comes that you run into, it like holds you there. You can't attack or anything like that, and you're just like wiggling around until it finally like decides.
Yeah,
now's the time.
It's weird. Yeah.
There's like slippery floors and stuff. There's more action to do with the floors, I guess, than in the previous Mana games. And so the combat was fine, and it was relatively enjoyable. The thing was, though, that it felt like out of balance. Because let's say most of the boss fights, except for 2 boss fights in this game, were extraordinarily easy.
Yeah.
And all you had to do is like hit him with the sword. Like I hit one. There's a clip on Twitch of me hitting one, and I think I counted. I think it was 8 times. In the video, I said it was 6, but I went back and watched it, counted how many hits I did. I went up to him, went. And he died.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was it.
And it'll be that, but like this is what I never get about RPGs sometimes when they do this. Like the dungeon leading up to that guy is like this grueling experience where you're getting like just bounced around into spikes, you're getting grabbed by the grass, and then everyone like as this pinning your arms to the floor, everyone's got their socks full of like rolled up quarters and they're beating the shit out of you. And you're just like getting wrecked, and then you get to the boss and you just annihilate the boss. It's like, why wouldn't these guys mutiny? You know what I mean? Like if this Malevodon guy is so tough, like why they could take him out, like 2 of them, like one of them could probably put up a fight against this boss, and like they just let him run around. It doesn't make sense to me. It's so, and that was how it was on every boss fight except for I think 2. Yeah, I think the last boss had some elements, and then the freaky like blob of humanity thing had some elements, and he killed us, which was not fun.
He killed you.
Oh yeah, he killed me, and I was the game host, so we both went back.
He killed you. We could talk about multiplayer 5 seconds from now. Ooh.
Yeah, that sucked. That cost us some time.
Yeah, I remember we had 3 dungeons we needed to get through tonight to beat the game, and we just went ahead and added a 4th for fun.
Yeah.
for kicks.
It's the bonus dungeon.
The bonus dungeon looked a lot like the first one done again.
Yeah. It's weird. It's so lazy, but
Laziest design I've ever seen.
yeah, literally the same. Come on.
God damn it.
What is this, Crisis Core?
So yeah, the game is both easy and difficult, I would say. Now, Brulo, who's I guess been watching us play these games on.
He's been following us for a
He's
while.
been following us a lot
He's
lately.
like playing along with us.
And he's playing along with us. We have his review that we're going to read on the show later in our email.
Oh, yeah.
Brulo played it and thought it was super easy and never died. But he said he run 100% at it. And that makes me think, okay, he didn't die when he went up for the first time, which I didn't either on that first dungeon. And then he went and did extra shit and he over leveled. And of course it's easy. But I didn't find the game that easy because of the restarting of dungeons, which I had to do, I don't know, half a dozen times throughout the game. Depending on where I died, I would decide to do it again or try to sell some equipment or whatever.
Yeah.
So that kind of like, I don't know, that there is a difficulty there, but then the game is forgivable because you can go back. You can just go back to it. You don't lose anything because of it. And all the experience you gained in the dungeon, you just keep on gaining. So there's no level downs or anything like that, which is nice and forgivable considering what it is. But then the last dungeon is 17 levels.
Yeah.
And in single player, yes, you can save every 4 levels, I believe, 4 to 5 levels. It'll give you a place to save. But it's not a place you can return to and like teleport to. You have to, if you go back to town, you have to do that all over again, which is annoying as shit.
Yeah. Yep.
So you basically you get fucked over in the dungeon. You have to decide, okay, if I try it again, am I going to make it this time?
Yeah.
Or not? And if you're not, then it's like, okay, I'll just take that as, experience gaining.
Yeah, you got to decide, is it me or is it the insta-kill exploding pumpkin? Like,
Yes, which one is it?
leaning towards the pumpkin because I was not expecting that.
Yeah, I didn't know they exploded.
Boom, throw 400 damage.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
holy shit.
Same fucking thing happened to me. Don't worry, with the same fucking pumpkin, I'm sure.
Yeah. Never
But
again.
But yeah, in multiplayer, which we did for the second half of the game, basically.
Yeah, it was like the last third at least.
Yeah, it was
pretty
it was
good chunk.
4 dungeons.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we did 5 before, and then we had 3 left, and we did 4.
And 2 of them were the size. Honestly, the floors, we probably did more floors today than we did the other days, or at least
That's probably true. You're
close
not,
to.
you're
'Cause
not.
it was like 17, 12, 10,
I don't think you're wrong. I
and
think
then 5 for most of the other ones.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, but in multiplayer is specifically very unforgivable. So in single player game, it's difficult. The difficulty level scales on each of these dungeons pretty
Yeah,
heavily.
It's a lot, yeah.
But going back to town over and over again, you'll build up strength. You'll build up new items to help you out. One thing I kind of don't like about the item system is that you can't just get a sword. You have to be at a certain level to use the sword,
Yeah.
which I really don't like that. My favorite weapon system in any RPG that caps you like that is Fable, where it's like your strength isn't enough for this. But if you like keep on using the weapon, you'll build up your strength, and then you'll be able to use the weapon eventually.
Yeah.
But like you'll be dragging it on the ground, like your character, and you'll be able to slowly use it. And like that was a really cool system in Fable, by the way. But to get back to the multiplayer, it's not over the internet. It's local, like the DS and its special DS signal that it sends out to other DSs where they talk to each other.
Do we have to connect to a local area network like your router?
No.
Oh, it's a straight up
It's just straight
LAN
up
party for
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So, like,
Why wasn't there anyone else nearby?
yeah, what? There wasn't someone within the next, I don't know how many feet that thing goes.
There probably isn't a house.
It got laggy over there. I disconnected over there.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty close.
So I think it's within like 20, 30 feet. But it has, its own little radius it can handle for the DS, which is a really cool system, I guess, for kids playing together and not having to get on the internet in order to do it and watch all the porn that, of course, all 12-year-olds would watch as soon as the internet is open up to them.
I don't think I've ever watched porn on a DS, I'll be honest. Oh, no, maybe I did once. I think I did, actually. It wasn't mine, but...
I don't know if I've said this on the show, but I was because I didn't have... It wasn't mine. I didn't have internet for a good chunk of my growing up, my adolescence.
Yeah.
And this horny motherfucker who knew his friend's passcode to get into his basement and knew his friend had gone on vacation broke into his friend's house basically to watch porn on his Wii, which, by the way, the Wii does have the worst internet browser of all time.
Yeah.
So it wasn't great, the viewing experience. However, the orgasms were fantastic.
I just imagine like me and Craig coming, or whoever it was, going to his house and like his windows. There's like a rock laying in his living room.
Oh my god!
The Wii controller's out, and there's like
he had instead of a key, lock and key, they had a code on the door.
Oh, okay.
And it was fucking 1492. The year Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
Oh, so it's a song.
So it was easy to remember. It was just like 1492 was the passcode to get into this guy's basement. So it was like my two friends, I guess their mom had problems. They were at their grandma's, right? And they just had like a mother-in-law apartment downstairs. And then their grandparents. But they all went on vacation. So I wasn't like going into the house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
I know whose house it is now then.
It's not Dylan's.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I don't know whose house it is.
It was up the street from Dylan's.
I beat off in that house. Just as we drive by, I beat off in that house too. You don't even know anybody from that house. Yeah.
My friend went away for 10 minutes. I got onto his computer and watched porn, and I beat off right there.
Jesus.
I would like to say that that's not a common story in my past. But I won't. But yeah, there were these two kids out there, and they had, that was the thing. This was the thing. They had a computer. They had multiple computers. All of them had passwords on it. I couldn't get into the computers. So the only way I could watch porn at that house after having broken in their house was through the Wii. So... Speaking of terrible Nintendo systems to watch porn,
you know how much happier I'd be if whoever stole my 3DS just broke into my car to beat off to porn on my 3DS. It would have been real weird.
The Wii, I left
if he would have left
there.
it. Yeah, I can just imagine like they come home and like the screen window's off again, and like you just come over, pry the screen window off, and then like pull the window open, and then there's just like 4 or 5 tufts of like. The fucking like tissue paper on the floor in front of the TV. The window panel is like covered in lube where you close the window on your way out.
There's just like a bottle of Astroglide on the floor.
Yeah, like a bunch of tissue paper. Like, damn it, Joe, again.
No, that's the same house with the two brothers where one of them is gay. And I don't know which one it is.
You don't know?
I don't know. I suspect one, but then the other one had some behavior that makes me suspect him.
Oh.
Because, should I go off on this digression? It's ridiculous. Okay. I think I've told the story on you of years ago, but I was going to just visit my friend. You know, it was like the middle of the night. I think I was leaving Dylan's house. And I was like, I'll go check on one of the brothers. You know, I hung out with both of them just at different times, basically. And I went in and I saw the light was on from the TV, like the blue light, you know, coming through the window.
Yeah.
And I just took a little peek-see in the window, and I saw one man sucking another man's dick on the television screen, and I left.
Didn't,
And I went, one of the brothers is gay.
you didn't beat off that time?
And now one brother, I would say, was more like, I'm into hunting, and I have killed deer, and I wear baseball caps and all that. And he put on this like affectation, southern affectation. The other one was trying out different kind of things. He was into emo, screamo type bands. He wore eyeliner sometimes. He painted his nails. And now you may be saying, Joe, that definitely sounds like that's the gay brother. And I'm telling you, I'm still not sure, because one day I picked up the other brother's PSP and found his porn all stashed up in his PSP. And maybe he's not fully gay, but there were a couple pictures that were just dicks.
Not a common practice.
No. And so that's why I don't know which fucking brother it is.
What if they're just trolling you and they're neither of them are gay?
Well, they're like, Joe's coming up the street. Better put on
Just
the
in case Joe comes by.
Better put on the gay porno on the television so he goes away.
Just in case.
And is like racking his brain going, which one is it?
He'll be thinking about this for decades.
Which brother is gay?
Yeah.
Still hasn't come out.
Yeah, man.
I'm friends with both of them on Facebook.
Neither of them.
Neither of them.
Damn.
Or maybe they just had like a, I don't know. I would say I was definitely I was definitely gay pre-puberty.
Oh yeah, every
I feel like every little boy is gay pre-puberty.
Yeah, they act weird. And, yeah.
But then I never delved. I never was just curious. I know. I guess there's a scale to these things, but
no, the scale seems pretty tipped for both.
I don't. Well, the one had straight porn almost entirely, except for like a couple pictures of dicks. And I don't know if you thought they were like funny pictures of dicks.
Did you chuckle or
no? I was uncomfortable.
Did it? Was it like flexing like a bicep or like anything cool? Or it's just...
I remember the image I remember is it was like 3 mushrooms that looked very much like dicks mixed in.
Oh, okay.
With the porno collection. I don't know what was going on there.
That's very strange. Yeah.
Yeah, but we didn't watch porn when we were playing Mana tonight.
No,
not at all.
No, not a little bit.
Not even once.
No. The mystery remains.
The mysteries remain.
Oh man!
It's like, I don't know how to ask my friend. Man, why do you have pictures of dicks?
Yeah,
your porn
it's
collection?
Weird.
It's just dicks. There's no women in this picture at all.
I don't have any dick pictures that aren't mine. I don't even have any of mine. Like, why do you have this? See, how can you ask? How can you approach?
You can't.
Yeah.
You can never ask. All I need is just one of them to come out on Facebook so I can just know, and there'll be closure.
Finally have closure to this thing that's haunted you for.
It's haunted me. I'm sure it's haunting them a lot more than me, but for some reason it's haunting me.
It's just the uncertainty of it all, It's just can't handle it.
It's like, well, one seems definitely like he was the gay one, but the other one had pictures of dicks on his PSP. Yeah. So which one's the gay one? Like, was he like trying to be all redneck and like trying to
be his own beard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one way to describe it.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh my God. No one's here to witness this on Twitch, by the way. I'm pretty sure everybody's gone to bed. What time is it right now? Oh, Jesus. Let's not even look at the clock. No, so I did enjoy playing with you. That was enjoyable.
Yeah.
This game, the gameplay it's fine.
Yeah, it's
the dungeon stuff gets really repetitive.
Yeah, it's pretty much on the same level as when we were playing Final Fantasy Explorers, or something like that. Like Explorers had a little more going for it as far as like crafting items, and like it had a little more like oomph to the gameplay, but like it's very similar where you just hack and hack and hack, and then you figure out the little like it's not really a puzzle, it's just find where shit is and then put it away.
Yeah, and then the subquests, because there are side quests in this game that you can take on if you, for some reason, want to play more.
Yeah.
It's just repeats of the dungeon that are slightly different floor layouts.
It'll be like go to the Crystal Tower or whatever it was and find an item. And you'll have to go find a special item for like the Dud services, which is the Dud Bear.
Dud
the guys.
Bears, remember them.
Yeah, the
fondly.
language. That you had to like
dub,
learn
dub,
that
dub,
language.
rub, dub, dub, jibba, dub, dub.
Yeah.
Twice, did you understand that? You want to translate that?
Yeah, he said, I don't like you, I don't like your people, and I don't like your culture. Very rude. They have like this little agency where you take on side quests, and it's kind of soulless. Like you spend a bunch of money and you go get extra experience, and then you get like some items at the end, but I don't know, man. I was trying to do that just to make it a little easier because one of the dungeons I did early on, I was like, that got kind of rough there near the end. So maybe I should do some extra questing. And then I went and did the extra questing, and I got my ass handed to me on a platter. And I was like, guess I'm not doing extra stuff.
I did one. I redid the first dungeon again for the Millionaire's side quest. Millionaire. And it was just doing the dungeon again and killing everything in it.
Yeah, it's weird. It's
lame.
Like, yeah,
lame.
It's
lame side quest, and it's just doing the main gameplay again. You know, they probably had they had some thought put into this game at one point because there were like two well designed, interesting bosses that you had to figure out shit for. But it was the final boss, and then the one that looks like No Face from Spirited Away, and that was it. Everything else was kind of hack and slashy and going up the dungeons. The floor layouts like sometimes were pretty like interesting, but in the gameplay, like the action combat is fine, and like hitting around everybody like billiard balls is kind of fun. Is like kind of fun.
Yeah.
And playing it with a friend it probably doubles the fun of the game. But it is like a real repetitive beast.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of like fun moments where you'll smack a guy, and then like 10 seconds later, he'll just come careening across the screen and just nail me, and I'll go flying off.
He went off screen, bounced off something, and came back. That's the thing.
Yeah, so like it's cool there, but I don't know. It is just kind of boring, but it is fun together. And I mean, that's even Final Fantasy Explorers was fun to play with you. Otherwise, like it would have been pretty boring.
Yeah, I think games
not fun.
Games are improved by multiplayer.
Yeah, for sure. Games like this, at least.
Yeah.
And
what games aren't?
I don't know. Sometimes when they add multiplayer, that was like the thing for a while. Like when BioShock 2 added multiplayer, it was like every game had to have a multiplayer for like a few years there. It was kind of
that's a shooter. I could imagine, splitting off into.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like co-op shooters. I enjoy that.
Yeah, it was like a multiplayer versus mode. Though.
Yeah. Oh, and the forgive. So multiplayer is not forgivable at all because the person who's hosting the game can't save without booting the other person out of the thing. So I went into Schweiss's game. My story doesn't continue, despite the fact I'm going with Schweiss's story.
Yeah.
So if like Schweiss hit the power button on accident or something like that, it'd be like all that progress likely gone.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could grab your DS and check because you never turned it off all the way. See what happened after you disconnected if it says you're on the last mission. But
no, it definitely won't. It says in the menu, in the multiplayer menu, what won't happen.
Oh, okay.
It says your story will not progress.
Only mine will.
Only yours will.
Yeah, because mine definitely did, and then the other brutal
But then
part
you can't save.
I know, yeah. That's why part of me was like, I kind of want to kick you out so I can save before the end. just in case we don't beat it tonight.
But I don't know if we have to be in the same part of the story in order to play multiplayer together. That's
we don't know
the thing.
any of it.
We don't know that. That's the big mystery.
Because we were, when we started, we were at the same spot.
Yeah,
Like
so we were able to
chapter 6 or
continue on, you know.
Yeah.
So now if you could just hop into someone else's game, that'd be nice.
Yeah, it'd be cool. And it would have been cool if we had 4 people. I mean, that would have been fun.
But I would be deathly afraid of having to do that dungeon once again.
Yeah.
So that's what that would have required of us earlier on to find out. So anyway, I don't know, the gameplay's it's kind of mediocre.
Yeah, there's like
overall.
There's a magic system in it a little bit where you
Didn't touch it.
the summons that you have from the previous games, they're in the game as well, and they have either a healing effect or an attack. And I only used the Wisp one because she heals, and so you basically just summon her, and then she'll like sit there, float for like 4 or 5 seconds, and then she'll start blinking. And if you don't walk into her shadow right under her, you won't get healed, but she'll like spin around and do like an attack thing. And my magic was always super weak, but we used it in the end a lot just to not use up those instant like 100 HP items.
Yes, that was a useful tactic.
Yeah, and the MP seems to rise pretty quickly as you're progressing. So there was that element of it. And then there was also like you'd get like a gem case. It was like a little box that you'd put your jewels in. And you collect a ton of jewels as you play the game, and you can fuse those together to create like super jewels. And those will have like added bonus effects. So like one that I created near the end was I combined like the strength one, the base strength one with the triple slash. And it gave me like an extra 20 something attack, I think. And so you just throw those on. And for a while I had like the ones that were called Berserk, which are like crazy attack but your defense gets like wrecked. And so I was getting hammered in the game.
I was getting mad at I think it was the 5th dungeon. And I was just like, I need more attack. I got to kill these guys before they kill me.
Yeah.
So all I did, I just put on a bunch of berserks.
Yeah, it's
and
bad
I
move.
was a glass cannon. And emphasis on the glass.
Yeah.
I did worse than I was doing before. Where all I had put on were like the +4 attack. I hadn't really messed with the gem system that much. And then I did that thing, and it was so bad. It was so bad. It was like instantly dead.
Yeah,
instantly.
It's crazy. I had 2 of them, I think, and it was real rough.
And it wasn't that much of a difference in like the amount of hits I had to do to kill someone.
Yeah, because you'll most likely get a critical at one of those hits, one of the 3, and then it only takes like it only takes like 1 hit away, and the hits are pretty fast. It's a fast combat system, so it is kind of a waste.
Yeah. So I don't know. Combat's okay. How do you feel about how the game looks and how the game sounds?
The look of it is cool. The only thing I really don't like is that tree guy. And the rock guy looks kind of dumb too.
How do you feel about the anime cutscenes?
They're really weird, especially the ones with like the borders around them. Like there's like a flowery
I never
border.
noticed it until you fucking said something. You're like, what's with the border? And I looked and I was like, oh my God, there is like a weird flowery border, and it changes every cutscene.
Yeah. It's like, why would you put that in there? It's so strange.
Just to cover up, like, I think it covers up, and I'm surprised I didn't notice it because it covers up like a quarter of the screen.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
It's just overlaid. It's not even like there's animation going on behind it.
Yeah, it's so strange. It's nothing nearly as weird as like the Weeb fever dream that we had at the beginning of the last game.
I think it's about the same.
It's like they got super high when they put it all together.
There's just an occasional like one of the dramatic parts of the story that you're not into at all, and it like suddenly pulls up like 5 seconds of anime.
Yeah.
Some poorly translated subtitles pop on the screen and go way too fast. And, they look fine. They're just anime. And then the rest of the game in the talking scenes, it's just, it's kind of set up like Tales of Zestiria. You remember that?
Yeah.
Where it's like the 2 characters' heads just pop up on the screen and they talk. I know that's in a lot of like Japanese RPGs now with the anime stuff.
Yeah.
So it has that aspect to it. Otherwise, it's just like it's kind of both. In the dungeons, it's an overhead dungeon crawler live thing. And just like in the first 3 games. And then in the town, though, it's like a... What do you call that? It's or the background, pre-rendered background kind of situation. So it has that, and that's the Legend of Mana part, where you have like your home base, and you do everything at your home base, and then have to go out from there and then do quests. Flammy is back in the game.
Yeah, Flammy's always getting back in the game. Every time they try to pull me out, or every time I try to get out, they pull me right back in.
Flammy is back in the game.
Yeah.
The dragon is like the airship of the Mana series, although you've never been able to control. No, I think it's secret you could control them, right?
Yeah. There's one of them you control. Oh, you control them in the other one too.
Trials?
Yeah, I think you do. I remember.
You do. Yeah, having a lineup where to land.
Yeah,
thing. I
it was
remember.
a pain in the ass, but yeah,
we should have complained about that one in the
we probably should
the
have.
episode.
You gotta like come diving in like you're gonna land on like a fucking plane.
So that's the Legend of Mana part that was kind of added there, where it's like mission based, kind of like your home is here and it has a certain feel to it, and then you go off and do your quests. That's really the only thing it took from the last game. And the tree.
And the tree. Yeah.
And the tree with the
design.
shit face. Yeah.
Shit face tree.
Shit face tree.
Nothing but a shit face tree.
I can't respond to that one. Now the music. And I like the look of the game generally, especially the gameplay stuff. I just like that overhead classic look to it, and they did it for this DS version. I thought they did a good job.
Yeah, I liked it for sure.
The music of this game, one of the composers being the original composer of the soundtrack, I think is one of the most fantastic in this entire series of games that we've played for the show. Final Fantasy Adventure, he's back in action, and you know what? It's not as strong. It's not nearly as strong as Final Fantasy Adventure, but basically from like moment one of playing this game and streaming it on the thing, I was humming along to all the tracks when I was going through, and like that man, I don't know which tracks he's necessarily responsible for, but he makes the most hummable shit in the world.
Yeah.
And so it was nice having that aspect back. We've had fantastic soundtracks throughout this entire series. Now, I actually probably think this is the weakest soundtrack in the series. But it's still pretty damn good.
Yeah, they've all been good. That's the thing about the Mana games. They've all had really good soundtracks. I really like the like whenever the gods like come on, that little theme that kicks on. Okay. Like bam, 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 bam. I like that one, and then I like when you're going to fly on Flammy. That one's really cool. I really like that song like a lot. I was like, man, this is good.
I like the village music. I've liked the music of every single dungeon.
Yeah, mystery like do 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 do. That one's pretty cool.
It's all really solid music. And then and of course, and I said this at the beginning of this review, there's a little bit of the main theme from Final Fantasy Adventure pops up in the final cutscene, and it's just like, oh, perfect.
Yeah.
And then when we return to Coda,
we find out that it's him. Yeah, at the end we're like, oh, cool. Yeah, no wonder it's been so good. Because the other ones are really good too. But like Secrets is just like weird, proggy, like strange.
Yeah, the weird composer came in. I guess like I always forget her name. Shimamura.
Yeah.
Yoko Shimamura. That's right. She did the last game, and she's somewhere in between these two composers, isn't she? She's not as weird as the Secret of Mana, Trials of Mana composer, and not as like overly melodic, romantic as Ito is. And so she's kind of the in-between of them. She has a lot of really good romantic melodies and some like experimentation. Gets even heavier in Kingdom Hearts. But yeah, so it is kind of funny where the soundtrack has gone. But this was like basically it's return to form in a couple ways because of the last game and how long of a gap in time these games were.
It's a big chunk.
This is a kind of return to form, so it's cool to have the old composer back, at least for chunks of it. There are 3 composers, but
yeah, the series really took a break for a while. I mean, after Trials, that was Super NES, right?
Yeah.
And then they took a break until the PS1, and then they took another break from that one to this one, which was like 9 years, 8 years, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, so...
No. I think it was 2000, so 6 years.
Oh, that's a little bit...
It's pretty long,
pretty good chunk of time.
And this was, of course, they started this project, or at least a series of projects where this is included in Square stuff in 2003. That was we need more audience.
Yeah.
Therefore, make a bunch of cheap games that no one gets attached to.
On the DS, yeah. It's weird, though, because... I look on, and this isn't probably the best way to gauge games' popularity. We can probably look at sales, but looking at this one on our cherished howlongtobeat.com, there's like 77
that might be a really good way of
seeing like legacy.
That,
yeah. There's like 77 times submitted for beating the game, and then for the next one, there's like nothing, dude. It's crazy the difference between those two. And the weird thing for me is... I've seen Dawn of Mana a bunch of times, but I've never really seen Children of Mana, and so it's strange to me that that's the case. But it might just be because I never really played DS stuff back in the day, so that might be kind of what's forming that opinion in my mind. But yeah, it's weird because they started this project, and like the first one is, from what I can tell, the one that the most people have played. And so maybe everyone was excited that Mana was coming back, and then they were just like, fuck it. After the first one got done, like, that tree looks like 3 separate shits combined into one.
It's like 6 shits. If I were to count the amount of shits it took to mold that tree's face. God, we're
shit-faced tree.
We're so nasty. We're so nasty on the show, dude. Someone's like, some poor sap, some poor nerd out there, not ready for this.
I love this game.
Has to hear is like, okay, I'm really interested in the Mana series. I'm going to type in Mana into my Apple podcast app, and we'll see what pops up. Pulls up this episode I'm talking about. I don't know which one of my childhood friends is gay.
Yeah, shit-faced tree.
A tree's face literally made out of shit rolls.
Yeah, that is sat on by the female character in the game that spends eternity with this tree.
So gross. I'm ready for that 1-star review later.
Yeah, nasty.
Just unpleasant. There was
arborphobic.
I believe there was one review recently where I respected the semi-negative review. It was 3 stars, a 3 out of 5 to go. These two have a very different sense of humor. Not my thing. And that was the review. And I was like, okay, Canadian. Okay.
Yeah. Fair. What can you say? Yeah.
So the legacy of this game, if you could pull up Brulo's emails.
Got it.
That'd be good. He's the only one who asked questions, and he's also the only one who sent us a review. So thank you, Brulo, for playing these games along with us. Otherwise, we'd be the only ones
there's some people that are like
game, apparently
salty at us for not having, like, being in the fucking Mana games forever. There's some people like, I just don't care about Mana, so I haven't listened for a while. It's like, come on, it's taking us like forever to do these. The least you could do is listen to the hour and a half that we ramble on.
Find out if you decide you want to play.
Yeah, there's some great ones in there.
I mean, we're trying to convince people that aren't listening.
Exactly, yeah. This is super futile.
So, Children of Mana, of course, it sold like 200 whatever copies, but 280,000 copies in Japan. It did receive pretty mixed reviews. People were praising it for its like art and tone, and then monotony in the gameplay brought it down quite a bit. So it wasn't too well received at the time, and its sales were below Square Enix's expectations.
Yeah.
And as far as the legacy of this game is concerned, only 70 uploads and how long to beat. Not sure what that says about the overall gaming thing, but it is definitely not. It's not a game that is remembered at all.
Yeah, and it's probably not. It was never experienced, so that you can't really remember what you never played. And it's not that it's a super failure or anything, but yeah, it's just not a big title.
I think there's an additive here. I would like to say that's kind of separate from Legend of Mana and Dawn of Mana. I feel like the artwork on those games, I remember them from when I was a kid. From them, I remember Dawn of Mana being on someone's shelf.
Yeah.
For some reason.
I remember Secret of Mana. That's when I was younger.
And so there's something about the artwork on the PS1 and the PS2 covers for me that makes me think like those as classic games, although we played Legend of Mana and I don't think it's a classic game at all. No, I don't think it aged well at all. I think its cover clearly outsells the game. But this game doesn't have that. Nor was it well received. Nor did it sell as much as Square thought they were going to sell. I don't know how much they thought they were going to sell. I mean, if it sold 280,000 copies in Japan, I doubt that this. I bet the sales are maybe equal here.
Yeah, it's probably 500,000
in North America.
Yeah, that's not too crazy.
So decent sales for a game, but for like Square's maybe like fourth tier franchise for that title, not great.
Yeah, I guess the other way I could gauge it is the save files on the copy that I had to buy after my original one was stolen. They were only about I think they were 8 or 9 hours in, like level 20 or so. So they didn't finish it.
The used copy that I bought, they were 47 minutes in, I think.
Oh, I guess
yeah, I think I was, fuck this.
No, I'm not going to put an egg in a pool over and over again. I'm not going to do that. That's stupid.
Exactly.
This tree looks like shits. Looks like multiple shits molded into one. I can't play this game.
You didn't even get to the tree. Yeah. You didn't even get there. I don't even think you rescued Tess by that time.
Yeah, probably not, yeah.
Because I entered his game to see if I'd gotten there, and he was like a little bit ahead of me, and I was like, oh, no. I need to restart the game because I forgot to save. That happened right at the beginning. Not far in, but... so that's how I figured that out. But he didn't even rescue Tess from the dungeon.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, what a dick.
Yeah, what an asshole.
So yeah, Legacy's not great. But we do have a review.
Yep. From our good man Brulo,
who also gave us a review of Final Fantasy Record Keeper last week. Hope you guys enjoyed that episode. He does have a podcast which he didn't plug.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it's like Brewology. So if you're into brewing beer, go talk to him on Discord and see if he'll show you the way.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to take him up on his offer to show us the way because we fucked up.
There was a day where he was like, dude, I'm making some beer. You want to come down here? And I don't remember why I couldn't go.
Oh, yeah, because he's in Colorado.
He was in Colorado, and I was in Vail. He lives in Denver, I think, so I wasn't that far. I think it was just the weather or something like that. There was some reason why I couldn't go, but I wanted to. I wanted to go and find out, how does a guy actually do this and not fuck up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Outside of the YouTube videos I've seen.
Right.
They don't fuck up there. As far as I know. Okay, I'm pulling up the review too if you want to start it.
All right. So he says, "Hi guys, finished the game during your playthrough, so thought I would shoot over a review for the pod on it. Children of Mana is one of those games I remember from Nintendo Power back in the mid-2000s as an upcoming DS game. At the time, I was pretty into anything Square Enix or JRPG, so it seemed interesting. For some reason, I never picked it up, so this is my first experience with the game.
The game is a solid meh. The game begins with less setup and story than a free-to-play mobile game. Our hero rushes to a tower to save his lost friend who is stuck in a said mana tower. Upon defeating a Malevodon. God, that was real. See that pause there? That was a fucking real me trying to figure out how to say that fucking word. Pause. who then becomes the famous Benevodons, which for some reason is easier for me to read. We meet a big bad guy and go back to the home village after roughly 15 hours of random quests like go look for a dragon that doesn't exist, Watts lost his best friend, or the shop owner named Millionaire has a plan to make some money. We get to fight said bad guy and save the world. The story of this game is nothing but quests in repeat dungeons that you've been to 10 plus times before. It is worse than running a daily in any other game I've played.
Also, why did they feel the need to justify the fact that there were no floors, like no stairs? Like, just play. I would have never been like, what the fuck? Why aren't there staircases?
There's plenty of things we accept in games.
Exactly, yeah. So now
whatever.
that they pointed it out, now I'm like, why'd they do that? Why are you making it weird? You could have just said egg in a fucking pool, and I would have been like, sure, yeah, I don't care. I'll do it. Well, let's do it. But no, it's like, no. No staircases exist anymore. Like, why that? What the fuck happened? Like, did this guy trip down the stairs, and like that's how he fucked up his face on the one side? Now he has to, he fucked up his whole face, and he can only afford...
have to explain away not having stairs.
He could only afford half of a mask, so that's why, like, I don't know. Anyway, the gameplay itself consists of running dungeons, which range from 4 to 18 floors over and over again. Luckily, the combat in Children of Mana is tighter than any of the previous Mana games because the constant button mashing gets boring as hell 3 hours in. The magic system is an absolute joke and too slow to be of any actual use, which is totally fine because no enemies in this game pose any actual challenge. I don't know, man. Every boss can be beaten in a flurry of about 3 attacks. That's true. You equip your character with gems crafted through a fusing mechanic at the blacksmith. The gem system was okay, but fairly underwhelming given this game's ease of combat.
There's very, very little I enjoyed about this game. I can't see myself ever playing this again unless it was a mindless task to do on a commute. Even then, I'd much rather browse Twitter or Reddit. Good combat is the sole redeeming part of this game, but it is easily at the bottom of my mana list, which is number 1, Secret of Mana, number 2, Trials of Mana, number 3, Adventure of Mana, number 4, Children of Mana, and looking forward to Heroes of Mana. Cheers, guys. Brulo. Thank you, Brulo.
Well, Brulo, we got Dawn of Mana first, bro. You better hit it up.
And
get your PS2 out.
I didn't make the call for questions because we decided to beat this game really fast.
Yeah.
So I only had one question from Brulo, who heard me ask for questions on Twitch last night, which Benevodon cover by Disturbed when ?
That's a good question. I mean, you could probably play all of Disturbed stuff, right? I mean,
Benevodon. That's it. There's your cover.
There you go.
You guys can't force the covers. They have to come naturally.
Yeah, believe us. I've got some ideas for Joe to execute on in the near future.
I can't wait for me to execute your ideas.
Hey, man, it's a good song that you're going to be covering if you do it.
Okay. We'll see.
But it's going to be pretty sweet if we do it.
Yeah.
But you can't. You got to let it just be a natural thing. It's Dave's busy. He's got more time with the pandemic and everything, and he's supposed to have released an album.
He's got some issues. He's got some PR issues with his bass player right now.
Oh, really? Again?
Oh, you didn't hear about it?
No.
Sex tape leak.
Oh.
For Dave Ellefson.
Oh, is that why?
And then people were claiming that the girl was underage, and then he had the woman who he was with in the video post.
Oh.
She posted, "Oh, everything was fine. I shouldn't have shared that video. I'm sorry." So, there are people after him, is what it sounds like, and they made this thing public.
Oh. See, I was wondering
so
why
far,
I got
the story.
I got a picture from.
Oh, you didn't.
From
you didn't
someone.
know what he was talking about.
Was that?
Greg sent that to me too.
Yeah, Greg sent us an image on Facebook that was it was Load from Metallica, but then it had Dave Ellefson, and I was like,
yeah.
I was
if you didn't know that story, you would have no idea what the fuck that is.
That's kind of funny. I guess it's his
weird.
cum that they smeared, and all right, I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And now I know.
Now you know.
Well, that's crazy.
Dave,
they need to hurry up. get over that. So they give us that album.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, those happen. They have to happen naturally. It's got to be a love or there has to be a lot of emotion present for those to be brought into existence. It's really what it ends up being.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what we can conjure up.
Yeah. So, well, that's it for this game, man. Where do you want to rank it?
Man.
Nah.
Yeah. So my rankings for the Mana series are going to be as follows. Number 5. I think I'm going to put Children of Mana at the bottom. Number 4 is Legend of Mana. Number 3 is Secret of Mana. Or no.
Final Fantasy Adventure?
Final Fantasy Adventure.
Okay.
Number 2 is Secret of Mana. Number 1 is Trials of Mana.
Okay. I'll go the opposite. Best game in the series is Trials of Mana. The next, very close second, is Secret of Mana. Then we have Adventures. Final Fantasy Adventures. Fuck you. Oh, God, you fucked me up on that one. Final Fantasy Adventure. And then we're going to go Children of Mana for me. And at the bottom of the list is Legend of Mana.
You really don't like Legend of Mana.
I really don't like Legend of Mana.
That was one of our more negative reviews, I feel.
And I didn't have fun at all. I had some fun in this game.
Yeah, I think
I had
playing with
zero,
you.
and I had fun. I had 3 games at the top, all great. Incrementally better in my mind too. There are problems with the other 2.
Yeah.
Children of Mana, super repetitive,
super boring. Like
there could have been some small fixes to make this game really fun, and they didn't do it. Having to do with multiplayer or like saves in dungeons or any sort of variety with like the tasks at hand, puzzles, something. They didn't do that. It is, I guess the controls are smooth, which is what Brillo was talking about. I agree with that. But it's repetitive, kind of just going back to the dungeons over and over again. He did extra quests. I would never do extra quests in a game like this, ever.
I tried, and then they fucked me just as hard as the main one. I was like, no, that's it for me.
So
screw this game.
And then Legend of Mana was that was hard to get through. That was so boring.
It was a weird game.
It was
too.
weird.
It was like the weirdest
It just
thing.
wasn't my thing, honestly. All those quests being the thing. So, yeah, I do prefer this game over the last game we played.
Yeah, it's close. I think I'm more of a person who appreciates what Legend of Mana is, but even then, at the same time, like I don't know. I think they could have done more with that one. And Children is just kind of, it's just bland. It's just bland enough to be on the bottom. Yeah. Like that's really where it is. I think it was fun playing with you though. That was enjoyable for sure.
We had a fun time tonight. What time do you usually go to bed, Schweiss?
About 15 minutes ish. Well,
Okay.
It depends.
You can crash on the couch if you want.
No, I can make it.
Okay,
I'll be fine.
all right. So yeah, guys, that's it. Our next game, we're going to do the Mana games before we jump back into Final Fantasy 14.
Mm-hmm.
So the next game will be Dawn, right?
Dawn of Mana.
Dawn of Mana. Followed by Heroes of Mana, which for some reason I can remember I remember why I remembered Heroes of Mana very well. Bill, are you listening to me on Discord
Is
here?
it the punctuation thing?
It is the punctuation on Heroes of Mana. I typed in it correctly. Hey, Matunica, could you add Heroes of Mana to the list? And then you put Heroes like apostrophe S, like Heroes. Yeah, Hero owns of Mana. Heroes of Mana.
Yeah.
Which drives me nuts. Which is why I remember the title. Is because of that fucking shit.
See, he's helping you out.
Yeah, he's helping me out. I actually, my favorite Facebook page right now, which I am a member of, is Oh Shit, Here Comes here comes an S, better add an apostrophe. That's the name of the Facebook group. And it's just people posting unnecessary apostrophes and like restaurant menus.
Oh,
and,
nice.
Oh my God, dude. It burns, dude. It's so good. It's so good. And yeah, I've thought about snipping that fucking thing on our list to be like, well, look what Bill put on here with that.
Everyone's like, oh, that Bill.
You know, there's like this view, thanks to British television. Maybe it's the fact that, like, you know, the British came first over here, and in America, you know, we had to make our own. We had to become our own thing, but they're still daddy. There's this like idea that, you know, these highly educated Brits, you know, I'm looking at that fucking apostrophe. Every time I go and look at that list, I look at that apostrophe and just get a little angry.
I know. I'm like
I feel betrayed.
There's that, and then I'm like, you could add Endwalker there, you know, you throw it in. Like when you made the list, it was already announced. But as I'm also like, I could probably just do it myself too, but
you'd have to make your own list. You'd have to copy and paste it because you can't edit someone else's post.
Yeah, that's true.
Which, thank you for making the post, Bill. But now we need you to edit it.
We need some follow through.
There's some new. There's the Bravely Default 2. I don't know if you added that one.
Yeah,
I think you did.
I think you did add that one. Yeah.
But yeah. And then we're gonna swing into, because at the end of this month that we're recording this, I'm gonna put this out a little later than we recorded it. So at the end of May here, there is the final update for the last expansion of 14.
Yep. So the plan is so I want to have the Mana games completed and then move into 14 afterwards. And then I'm hoping we can get caught up relatively on the quests that have been released so far. Because what we've been doing in the past has been, we'll get to the game when the expansion comes out, but then we'll play all of those little quests in between when the expansion is already out and the level cap has already been raised, which basically nerfs all of the dungeons in that expansion.
Yeah.
And that's something that, you know, a couple of people were giving us shit about last time, like Roxo. Now, inadvertently, I don't think he's like trying to dump on us, but he's like, oh yeah, this is way easy now. But when it first came out, like it took some work. And so we're like, well, maybe we can do it when it first comes out. And the level cap is still...
We should be able to hit it, because I can't remember when that new expansion comes out.
It says fall, and I think we'll be fine by fall.
So we start this in June. We play it for like 2 months. We catch up. We review that. We'll be able to go into a couple other... We got to do Secrets of Evermore and like Smash Bros.
Yeah.
And Air Gaze.
Yeah.
We might be able to do that whole chunk before what is it, Endwalker, right?
Yeah.
Before Endwalker comes out.
You think so? And the Mana games?
I think
It depends on how long
they
they are.
I don't know. And they are freakishly long every time.
Oh, the 14?
14 stuff always takes a fuckload of time.
14 is brutal, yeah.
It is brutal.
I mean,
and then I'm expected to remember all the story
yeah.
after playing a thing of 3 months where all they do is have the longest, most dull cutscenes on the planet. I don't know. They're so dull that like you couldn't figure out a way to cut this down to make them interesting.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Do they need to exist?
No, it's a game.
A lot of them don't.
It's like the MMO style, you know, to drag stuff out, kind of. And it's annoying.
Drag out the gameplay.
You don't have to make it like every other MMO. You know, you don't have to do that. Yeah, you can drag out the gameplay. Just bombard us with content, and then
we wouldn't want that now, would we?
yeah. Not
in this giant multiplayer game.
Yeah,
you don't want things to do with your friends in this thing.
I know. And now they're making it even more. Even
the single player cutscene game.
Yeah, they're making it even more single player though, because remember they added the trusts last time we played. And so now you can, and it's weird because I guess you get different.
I want to say like I'm annoyed at that, but the trusts were so useful in 11. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that I guess Roxo was saying is he was telling us when we were playing, it's kind of cool to go in with those guys because they have like added dialogue. But then I was like, oh, that's cool. Then I was like, well, I mean, I don't really care about the dialogue, but if it was, if I cared, it'd be really cool.
Maybe some added extra head nods.
Yeah. There's not enough agreement in there. There's very agreeable people in this world. They all like to nod at each other.
What's the screenwriting rule? It's in late, out early.
Yeah.
And in Final Fantasy XIV, you literally walk through the door, wait for people to show up, greet people, and then the scene will start. And then everybody has to say goodbye to each other.
It's in
head nod, walk away.
Yeah.
And then there's like 5 seconds where the scene where you're like looking at whatever the last shot of the scene is, and then it finally fades out. It's so bad.
Why are we looking at the corridor? Yeah, no, it's in, early, out, never. That's the fucking... That's Final Fantasy XIV.
Sorry. It's just the truth.
Man. Yeah.
And it gets worse every time I go into the game. I was like relatively interested in the first like 2 expansions. And now I'm fucking out. I'm going into the game and I know what they do every time. Can you please just fire the cutscene director? God damn it.
Yeah.
Fire the director, fire the writer, get some new people in there.
Yeah. Don't fire the voice cast guys, because that was weird.
Don't get video game people. Get writers.
Yeah.
Please. Yeah. People who write to entertain you.
Yeah, not to slowly suck your money out as you
not the most boring dungeon master you could find at a local game store.
Yeah, seriously.
Sorry.
It is pretty boring. And I was kind of surprised. I asked you today because we were having fun, like playing this game, as much fun as it can offer. Yeah. And then I was like, man, are you excited to get into 14? And you're like, no, absolutely not. I was kind of surprised. I was like, oh, really? I'm kind of looking forward to it. Like, oh, I get to play again.
There are aspects of it I look forward to, for sure. I love the dungeon crawling. Love getting to the new dungeon, playing with the guys. That's fun.
Yeah, there's stuff.
The drag of nothing quests and those long ass cutscenes.
Yeah,
that to me are dramatically poor.
Yeah, they're just not very pulling. They don't pull you emotionally or engage you in any way.
It just feels like I can just hear the clock ticking and my body dies slowly.
Yeah. You feel the slow degradation of your cells as they regenerate over time. I can
feel my cells regenerating and like slight
mutations.
Slight mutations as they go along.
Yeah, you're like, man, I can feel it.
I can feel the mutations.
Feels like shit. Feels like that tree's face.
So that's the problem. And the other thing is, like, I'm looking at the other games. I'm kind of excited about the next chunk of games. I'm not excited about the Chocobo games afterwards.
Oh, yeah. Chocobo World
we got like
easy.
4 bizarre games coming up.
Yeah.
That are totally like out of left field. And I'm excited to get to those. Because they're just games that had Final Fantasy characters in them.
Yeah.
That aren't really connected to any of the Final Fantasy series. And so I'm excited to like go through the campaign of Smash Bros. But I know playing 14 always like puts those off by months.
Yeah, I know.
That's the thing.
And I remember like when we fired it up last
and also
time,
mine and your schedule never line up.
Yeah. We'll get like the 1 day a week where we can get to the next dungeon. It'll be just like before.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, we line up dungeon times to complete the game by a certain date. And of course we'll, rush the hell out of it and then take forever after we rush it and do everything we've always done. So it's not as fun. And you know what? It's not even about the schedules not lining up. It's about the game is mostly a single-player game and then some multiplayer every once in a while. As far as the way we play it with the story and,
that is the way you do it, though. I mean, when we were going through new content, it's still the same thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Unless you're just like, every area you go into, you do all the side quests. But even then, like, most of the side quests are like checkmark side quests. So you just like talk to a guy. Go talk to a guy somewhere else. Come back, talk to a guy. Yeah. Maybe collect 3 items in a small area. Like,
Yeah.
Eh.
I mean, like the trials, or not the trials, like the little events that happen in the game. I think those would be really
fates,
cool. Those would be cool.
They could expand them more, and they don't. I don't know why.
Yeah. I don't know.
More stuff,
Maybe we'll have to fate grind, though, because we won't get all that extra free XP from the story content. I wouldn't mind that. I got some fate trophies to knock out, so... And it's like, I don't know, maybe we are playing it wrong. I know people got onto us during Stormblood days saying that we were, and it's like, well, I mean, not really an MMO podcast, but...
Well, maybe their thing was like, oh, you're only supposed to like log on a couple times a week for a couple hours.
Yeah, and we're just crushing it.
We're crushing it, yeah.
Yeah, it is a weird way to play it, but...
It is, and like your brain just turns to mush.
Yeah.
Except when you're in the dungeons, and it's like a fantastic game.
Yeah, it's
dungeons, trials, great time. Exactly. So thank you guys for listening to this 3, almost 4 in the morning podcast we have going on here at Ultima Final Fantasy, the Ultimate Final Fantasy podcast. Check out our other shows. I am back full time on Nude Clan, which is a great all-around video game comedy podcast. You can listen to us there. Both me and Schweiss host that show. Listen to the Godzilla podcast, which we should have a new episode coming out in 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, depending on our schedules, which is getting... That's not any worse. It's my fault that thing gets pushed off the last couple times. But anyway, I'm back in town, so more Godzilla episodes will be coming out more regularly. So that'll be nice. And what else we got? Active shows?
Got, active. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah. For a Few Chickens More, A Song of Schweiss and Johnson. If you still care about Game of Thrones, if you haven't finished watching Game of Thrones, do so, and then listen to this great piece of content.
Watch the first 7 seasons,
yeah,
and you can listen to the whole podcast
up to 53 episods. And then you can go watch
very
season 8.
Odd listening order for your podcast.
I know. It is pretty strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very odd, yeah. I kind of hate that we didn't get it done in time. Really, it's one of the biggest failings of my life. It's just not watching more TV at that given time. It's a lot of fun, though. So if you're just getting into the show, finish the show, and then give that show a listen. We also have Puff Puff Hour, a Dragon Quest podcast. All the mainline Dragon Quest games were reviewed, discussed on there at great length. So you can check that out. Super Sexy Swinging Fan Fiction. Enough said. And Getting Fat with Caleb and Joe. Adventures in Self-Discipline / 13th Cross / Joe's Audible or audio diary for the year. There's some really fun episodes in there. It's a pretty fun little show, honestly. There's a lot of good times. We're just messing around.
Now we have a new camera set up here.
Yeah.
For UFF. I don't know if we'll keep this for future UFF episodes, but this is the first time we're recording at my place in years. Just set it up that way, basically. Just had random circumstances made it possible.
Yeah.
And I actually built this background for Nude Clan, which hopefully it fits in your living room, and hopefully we can use it. And we got a new camera. And so, guys, if you could please subscribe to our YouTube channels and help us out there. And when we get a new video, when we get a new podcast episode or something there, if you could like and comment there, that would be great, because that helps the YouTube algorithm.
Yeah.
And they're not great YouTube. It's not great stuff for YouTube because the episodes are so long. So the more interaction we have in the comments, the better we'll do at YouTube. We do pretty well on our podcast apps, but we do horribly on YouTube. So
yeah,
if you're listening to us and you watch YouTube every once in a while, please subscribe to us.
Yeah, just do it.
And we're going to try to improve the video aspects of Nude Clan, at least, and probably UFF as well.
Yeah, we'll probably do it just because it's already here, Yeah. We already got the stuff, so
we already got the stuff for it. So we appreciate you guys there. Twitch.tv / Ultimate Final Fantasy, where you can see these things live. Sometimes you don't get much warning from it. Sometimes it starts at 2 a.m.
Who can say?
Who can say? Exactly. But if you're there and you have that subscribe bell ready to go or whatever the thing is, the notifications on your phone, you'll be able to watch us play these games live. Do we have anything else to say?
Not really.
Okay.
Play along with us. Next game is Dawn of Mana. We'll see how it all plays out. I'll have to break out the PS2. We've got a couple little...
I gotta go dig in the garage and find out if I still have a PS2.
I honestly don't remember.
I don't remember either.
Yeah, that's weird. I think I have... Yeah, I have equipment that I can...
So I had a PS2 that fucked up. It broke down.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if I borrowed a PS2 or bought one. I cannot remember. So I have to go through the boxes, and if I don't find one, I know what the answer is.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there you go. So hopefully you guys get to hang out with us for that. We'll have to hook you up with the streaming setup for that. All we need is a red, white, yellow to HDMI. That's all it is. I've got one, I think, still. And that's how I stream the PSP games, too, which is awesome. Because I have a little PSP, like a little adapter.
Yeah, this next game's only like 12 hours long, gameplay-wise.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. It's on the PS2. The weird thing is the last time they jumped from Nintendo to Sony, it actually slowed down the combat and everything. Legend is just so bizarre of a follow-up. So hopefully this one's more actiony.
I don't know. The next one is the last in the quote-unquote main series.
Yeah.
So we just played 2 spin-offs. We're back to the main series.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see. Maybe it's the main series that's really strong. I don't know.
I hope so. I hope the next game's great.
Yeah.
I wouldn't complain.
Yeah. So play along with us. Give us your reviews. fffanatics123@gmail.com. It's where you can send those if you happen to play this alongside us.
Oh, and go into the description below to find the Discord link. Join.
Yes, join. It's awesome. Show's podcast, or Twitter, my Twitter, I guess now, is at UFF Podcast.
Mine's at Joseph Vigolier. I'm trying not to use Twitter as much anymore. But if you want to see the movies I've been watching, that's basically what I post there.
Yeah, same. But there's a link there. The pinned tweet is the Discord channel as well. Yeah. So you can join there.
Tweet. And it's in my Twitter description.
Yeah. And I think the episode descriptions now, too.
Yeah.
Pretty sure. So
all the episode descriptions are now updated and pretty.
Yeah. So join. It's awesome. Discord is a great time. It's really cool. A lot of like minds, a lot of just listeners. And if you like the Final Fantasy community, it's a great place to be. So,
all right, let's get out of here.
All right. Until next time, guys, as always, enjoy the grind.